or stewards in his kingdom and stewards of his kingdom possessions. A steward is supposed to expand or improve the resources given to him. In Genesis, when God says, be fruitful and multiply to Adam and to care for the garden, he's not just maintaining, it's growing. It's keeping things in order while expanding. God calls us to that. A manager's job isn't just to maintain and to just keep things the status quo. A manager can do that. You can be that for years, actually, and just spend years maintaining. But you could be like, hey, I'm good. Nothing blew up. Everything's fine. Everything's still the same. You see that nothing happened here and everything's great. And your bosses might say, yeah, that's great. Years later, you might still be doing that. But if I'm a manager in a corporation that wants to be promoted, I'm judged, or performance reviewed, however you want to call it. I'm not judged on just keeping things status quo. I'm judged by how far I was able to push the needle. Did I yield an increase from the previous quarter? Did I implement policies and procedures that improved my department? Those things are what get you promoted, not just maintaining. Did I expand or increase, or did I leave things exactly how I left them? That's what stewards and managers of his kingdom are called to do. That's kingdom stewardship when you can expand it. Kingdom stewardship, and I'll give you the definition of that. It's the responsibility to faithfully protect and expand the resources God has entrusted to us as managers on his behalf. It's God that calls us to manage what he's given us. Sometimes we think it's us. In Matthew 25, Jesus tells this story to help get us into the mindset of his ownership and our stewardship and why that's important. So we can just start in verse 14 of Matthew. If you have it, you can follow with me. If not, you can just read from this as well. For the kingdom of heaven is like a man traveling to a far country who called his own servants and delivered his goods to them. And to one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, to another 1, to each according to his own ability. And immediately he went on a journey. Now, I looked up the monetary value back in those days of a talent in those days. And a talent was 6,000 denarii. That is the terminology and their exchange back in those days.
2 years old.
Yeah, more than that. Yeah. So a talent, when he gives them, he's just not giving them $10. He goes away for a long period of time. It's 20 years worth of labor. So he gave these guys, when he went away, he gave them some money, even the one with the 1 talent, if you think about it. So then he who had received the 5 talents went and traded with them and made another 5 talents. And likewise, he who had received 2 gained also 2 more. But he who had received 1 talent went and dug in the ground and hid his Lord's money. After a long time, the Lord of those servants came and settled accounts with them. So he who had received 5 talents came and brought 5 other talents, saying, Lord, you delivered to me 5 talents. Look, I have gained 5 more talents besides them. His Lord said to him, well done, good and faithful servant. You were faithful over a few things. I will make you ruler over many things. Enter into the joy of the Lord. I'm going to read to 29, so bear with me. He also, who had received 2 talents, came and said, Lord, you delivered to me 2 talents. Look, I have gained 2 more talents besides them. His Lord said to him, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a few things. I will make you rule over many. Enter into the joy of the Lord. Then he who had received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you had not sown and gathering where you had not scattered seed. And I was afraid, and I went and hid your talent in the ground. Look, there you have what is yours. But the Lord answered and said to him, you wicked and lazy servant, you knew that I reap where I have not sown and gathered where I have not scattered seed. So you ought to have deposited my money with the bankers, and at my coming I would have received back my own interest. Therefore, take the talent from him and give it to the one who has 10 talents. For to everyone who has, more will be given, and he will have abundance. But to him who does not have, even what he has will be taken away. Now, we're looking at the man with the 1 talent. He buries it. The master comes back and congratulates the 2 that produced and says, well done. The one that had 5 talents got 5 more. The one that had 2 got 2 more. And the Lord says, well done. In this story, Jesus calls the 3rd servant, the one that hid it, lazy and wicked. Now, we know why we call him lazy, because he didn't do any work. He just said, hid it. Right. But why does he call him wicked? Any thoughts on why he would call this man wicked for just hiding the talent? I see a bunch of hands, so I'll start with Walter and then make my way through.
Maybe,
Go ahead, Walter.
the Lord felt that you didn't appreciate the talent that I gave. You know, God calls us to serve him, but sometimes we don't know what he wants from us. But we have a responsibility because he called you and you are on the road. If he knows you have a talent and you don't use it, then he says, the purpose why I called you didn't motivate because you didn't do it.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Rob, Nancy, and then Paul. Go ahead, Rob.
Well, he knew what to expect. I know you are a hard man. So he knew who he was dealing with. He could have assumed what the outcome was going to be. He denied that truth. Maybe that's why he was called wicked.
That's good too. That's good too. Nancy?
He lived in fear, and that is, some say, the opposite of faith. So he had no faith in his master, and he, I think it's verse 24, ended up judging, in essence, God. He was taking control, which we sometimes do. But that's where I think the wicked comes in, because he didn't trust his master, who was God.
That's good.
And he actually insulted him to his face.
Yeah, that's good too. All those are good too. Paul and then Jeremy.
Yeah, what I say, well, he was wicked, definitely. As I say, it not necessarily he was like totally smartly lazy, like totally passive. He wasn't, because as I say, he had to dig the hole, even up to put the talent. He had to undig it, and he had to make sure that nobody will see where the hole is, or else he would lose it. But he was wicked because of the fruit of his faith. His actions were not where his master would say. Now I gotta go like a little bit over that, what the question is. I know that history does not tolerate the conjunctive moves, like what if or something, but I still ask, because this happened to us once in a while, to everybody. What if, let's say, the one who put 5 talents in business and the one who put 10 talents in business, or like in other episodes, it's like 2 and 5 or 5 and 10, whatever. What if they had unfortunate bad year for that, famine, stock cross or something? What if they lost their money or something? There's something that there was not, he had no power over this thing, but they were doing the right thing. What if it were not like another 5 and another 10 talents or less than that? Is results always an answer, or our commitment fulfilled with our actions? Well, because there's a plenty of people. Look at even local churches of Connecticut. There are some, they have work. They're working. They do not have increase. What's up with that? That doesn't mean that they're all wicked. They doing the job.
All right, Paul, we gotta move
That's
on.
another can of worms, but I just wanted to mention.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks. Yeah. That's good too. And right, like you said, we don't know if there could have been a loss with the stock market or trading, but the action, like you said, was there.
It's a
So,
conjunctive
yeah.
move.
Gotcha.
Which history does not tolerate.
Gotcha. Go ahead, Jeremy.
I think that when you look at it from the master's point of view, he paid his servant to do something, and the servant stole his time.
That's good.
And the fact that it was stolen means that it was wicked, it was evil.
Yeah.
And that, when you go to work, you're expected to do your job and to work because you're being paid to do it. And when you don't work, you don't do anything, you don't provide any real service, you stole from the company. You're supposed to be productive and paying him to do something.
Right.
In this case, he was paying him to do something with that.
Right. That's good too. And sometimes and not in all cases, but sometimes with someone that's lazy and wicked, or even just lazy, sometimes character traits with lazy people, there are other things that come along with that. Maybe entitlement. Maybe the world is not working out the way it could be. Sometimes there's one or two things that sometimes happen with people that don't have a lot. Either they work extremely hard to get where they get to, even harder than other people, or they can say, I just was dealt a bad hand and I'm not going to do anything. People need to help me in these regards. And not saying that this might have been this man, but with laziness, the Proverbs says the lazy man won't even take time to take food up to his own mouth. He'll look for somebody else. There'll be a reason why he can't do it. And so go ahead, Vern, while we move on.
And that would be selfishness. That person would
Yeah.
become selfish.
Yeah, that's good. And so, and we'll look at the first thing that this man does. He says, I know that you are a hard man, as Rob was saying. This man knows his master. He attributes a character trait to this master that may or may not even be true. I know you're a hard man. The other two, he says, enter the joy of the Lord. You've done this. You're a hard man. Can we do that with God? Is God a hard God, or is God a good God? Some might say you're a hard parent. One child might say you're a hard parent. The other one like, no, it's great. It may be what you're doing that depends on the parent that you see. If I tell Daniel to take out the trash and he doesn't do it every week, he might see a different side of me than my daughter, who's doing what I tell her to do every week. Same parent, different response based on action. So he says, I know that you are a hard man. It's like having a project at school. This isn't me, by the way. Maybe it's just some random person. Yeah. Where you've got the school project due, and you just, I'll just do this, cardboard cutout, blah, blah, blah. And then the day the project is due, you see everybody else's hard work and their final projects, and you're like, wow, this looks like a science fair. This person's got electronic things moving hands, and this person's got this, and I've got a cardboard cutout. My fourth grade teacher, just supposed to be random. My fourth grade teacher is coming around looking at all of them and seeing the effort on the projects and then gets to mine. Rather than me just saying I didn't put the effort in, I was like, you know what? Your directions weren't clear. You didn't say to do all of this. And rather than me take responsibility for not taking the project seriously, I blame the teacher instead. That's what this man with the one talent does. He looks at what the other two has done like, oh, okay. They didn't bury it. They did this. They did that. And then it comes to him, and now he's like, oh, you're a hard man. And look at what he says, and I'll get to you and Deborah in 1 second. No, 1 second. Let me read this, and then I'll get right to you. He says, I know that you are a hard man, and you gathered where you didn't straw. He's basing the Lord being on a hard man based on what the others did. He says, wait a minute. He got 5, and he's giving you 10 back. That other guy's got 2, and he's giving you 4 back. You didn't work for that. They should be giving you back what's yours. You reaped where you didn't sow, and you gathered where you didn't gather seed. This is what he's saying to this man. Deborah and then Paul.
So it reminds me of when you walk into your class and the professor goes, okay, everybody got an A. And the ones who know they want to keep the A, they do work. The ones who think that that's it, no work, it's so big, they'll get an F at the end of the semester. So he gives you, he gives you, and it's for you to increase his love and his patience and his mercy to others, not to hold on to it and close your head.
Right, that's good. Paul.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, you just about like nailed it all the goal is to do what is expected of us. The two that invested the money, they knew what that was expected of them. And the third person knew what was expected of him. And he did do work. I mean, like digging and not digging. He broke the sweat. He makes some more physical work than taking the money, bringing to the banker, signing the paper, follow up once in a while, and see the money grow. It takes much more sweat equity to dig the hole. So he did the job, but he did not do what was expected of him. And so are we. All of us know what is expected of us. And when we fall, or stumble, or name it any way you want, we do what is not expected of us. That's a big difference. Thank you.
That's good. Nancy, and then we'll move.
I don't think we should miss the point that what this man is saying is an insult, which I said earlier. Who are we? And these are the words that Satan uses. This is exactly evil. Who are you, God, to give all this? Blah,
Right.
blah. He will use that manipulation to deceive us constantly. That's the point for me.
Yeah.
That's why he was called.
Yeah.
You don't insult God. You
Right.
don't question on that.
Right.
On
And
that.
that's right. And that's good, because that's what he's doing after seeing this. He says, he really says to this master, you don't deserve this.
Exactly.
He says, you are reaping where you didn't sow. You didn't sow, they did that. You gathered where you're not scattered. You didn't scatter that, they did. So he takes that and says, you're a hard man, because here you are looking at this. And that's what I would say. Don't treat what's yours like it's mine. And that's what he does. And that's what we do sometimes. Giving money to church. Ooh, you're going to give that to the church? That's a lot of money. You give them to that pastor. Isn't it funny sometimes how people who aren't church will look at you as giving money to the church to a man rather than God? Even though God says, it's a command that you give to him. But that's how people will look at it. That church getting rich off of you. I'll tell you a quick story. When I was about 9, maybe 9 or 10, I was cutting the grass. Yeah. And we had a neighbor that always borrowed stuff from us all the time. Would never give it back. He would borrow it, not maliciously, I don't think. We would have to end up asking for it back. And one day my dad said, "You need to cut the grass." And I said, "Well, I think the neighbor still has a lawnmower." He's like, "Well, you need to go get it and cut the grass." So I go across the street. His garage is open. And I say, "Hey, Mr." Actually, I won't say his name just in case he happens to come across this. But I said, "Sir," will you, are you able to, I need the lawnmower back because I've got to cut the grass. And he says, "Well, actually," he says, "I haven't cut the grass yet. So just when you're done cutting the grass, just make sure you bring it back." And I'm like, I'm thinking in my head, dude, this ain't your lawnmower. I won't say that, of course. I'm like, "Okay, sir," blah, blah, blah. But this is the attitude of the wicked servant. He thought that what was his it was actually the Lord's. But he started treating it like it was his. Long story short, obviously I got the lawnmower back, and my dad was like, "No, you keep the lawnmower here. If he wants it, he'll ask for it again, and then we'll deal with that accordingly." So I stayed out of that. But anyway, but that was this attitude of this servant, thinking that these things were his when they're the Lord's. Yeah, look at what he says here. "I was afraid and went and hid your talent in the ground. Look, there you have what is yours." This is yours. What you got from them, that wasn't yours. That extra 5, that extra 2 that you got, this is what belongs to you. This is what this man is saying. This is what belongs to you. Yeah. And that's what he's doing. He's thinking that I'm not going to do that. Anything more than that is something that I worked for, that I sowed for. Anything that above that's in the ground would be mine, not yours. That's his disposition with this. Go ahead, Walter, and then I'll.
People that are irresponsible, as a rule, tend to be lazy. And when you take them up on it, they justify themselves by blaming others for your own shortcomings.
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's good. And that's what you sometimes end up doing when, like, even me with the science project or the class project, where I'm like, I gotta blame somebody because I didn't do what I was supposed to do. So I gotta make it look like I did a certain way. So I'm like, "Teacher, you didn't do this, and you didn't." And there's some of that here where he's saying, "This is mine." And it's funny too. I looked up in Greek the translation for the word where he says here. Here it is, or there it is. Now, here in the Greek is really pointing out a location as opposed to presentation. Here it is. Like if you say here it is, and I'm giving it to you, this is what there's a different word for that. I couldn't pronounce it. And then there's one here as in presentation, location there. And in Greek, it's location. Which is why many of the King James Version says, "Look, there it is, you have what is yours," versus "here it is." Now, why do I point that out? Just one more character trait of this person. If I'm at a table eating with somebody and I say, "Hey, can you please pass me the salt?" And they say, "Oh, sure, here it is." That's them giving it to me. If I say, "Pass me the salt," and they're talking to somebody and say, "Oh, there it is," and then go back talking to who they were talking to, what are they saying when they say, "There it is"? They're saying, "You can reach that, so you get it." This is the translation when he says this to this man. There it is. This servant doesn't even have the decency to present back what the Lord gave him. He says, "There it is, you go get it." That's what this servant does. A lot of the times I thought, oh man, the Lord is being hard on this servant. He was afraid and he just couldn't do it. And so why is he being so hard on him, telling him wicked and lazy when he probably couldn't do it? That's not who the servant was at all when you look and read this text. This is why he calls him wicked and lazy, rightfully so. I'm not going to work for something that you take, and I'm not going to give you something that I think is mine. Paul.
That wicked, there's another perspective to look at this thing. Last year's talent, today, when you present the same talent, worth more than last year. Because even with the healthy, with the healthy inflation, which every country should have, it is worth less than the money already went up. So basically him giving this talent this year back to the Lord, the same as he got last year, it's a less money he's returning back. Even though they say, here's this yours, but it's actually much less. Because at least to be even, it should be added the inflation of the money all the time.
Got you. That's good. That's good. That's good too. Right. It wasn't even offset inflation. If there was inflation at that time, it would be less. So yes, it cost them. Right. And we can think that sometimes that it's our stuff. And how many times do we think that in our lives that it's our stuff when it's the Lord's? Psalms 24:1 says, "The earth is the Lord's and everything in it, the world and all who live in it." The Lord owns everything, which really means you don't own anything. Not even your own life. You might think you own your own life, but you actually don't. Look at Luke 12:17. "And he thought to himself," is another story, saying, "What shall I do, since I have no room to store my crops? And he said, I will do this. I will pull down my barns and build greater, and there I will store all my crops and all my goods. And I will say to my soul, soul, you have made many goods laid up for many years. Take your ease, eat, drink, and be merry. But God says to him, fool, this night your soul will be required of you. Then will those things be which you have provided. Then whose will those things be with you, which you have provided?" So here, if you were in charge of your own life, you wouldn't have to give an account for it. But at the end of your life, you're going to have to give an account to the owner. So your life isn't even really yours. You've got to give an account. 2 Corinthians says, "But we must all appear before judgment seat of Christ so that each of us may receive what is due us for the things done while in the body, whether good or bad." So your life is yours to manage. You may think that, but your life isn't yours to manage. Your life is not your own. And so why is this important to this story? Because it just isn't this story. Just like these servants were given numbers of talents, we are also given the same responsibility. Now, the servants were given talents, but those talents represent three categories, even though we weren't all given the same amount. We're given time, we're given talent, and we're given resources. Now, like the servants, we weren't all given the same amount, but we all have a measure of all three, every single person. Time, the space in which opportunities arise for you to produce in the kingdom. We have a window of opportunity to affect change in the lives of people, a window. Only one life and soon it will pass. Only what's done for Christ will last. We have to think like that. Talent, a God-given ability that is unique to you for advancing his kingdom. There are talents that you have that are natural to you and gifts that you have. In fact, they may be so natural to you that you think anybody can do it, but not everybody can. God gives each of us that thing. There may be people that have speaking talents, but God can give a gift in a different area. Somebody may have the speaking talent to be up here and present in front of people extremely well, speaking talent, but then they get with 2 or 3 people and they freeze up or they can't say anything. Somebody might freeze up here, but one-on-one, they get that person right where it is, and they know, and they seem to always have the right words to say at the right time. Same talent, different gift. God gives each of us those. Resources. People, places, or things that God gives you to aid your time and talent for advancing his kingdom. Everything we do now should be to advance his kingdom. And when you're walking in your gift and asking God to lead you to your gift, he will put people right in your path that will help you move along with that. I remember I was telling Joel this Monday when we were talking about speaking, and I knew that I could talk to people and I could present. I had done those things for my job, and I just would sit and come and listen to the service. And one day, Jim Chris, I said, I'm willing to start helping and to teach, or not even to teach. I said, just to help around the church and to do whatever you have me to do. And he says, we need you to teach. And I said, is there anything else that you can have me do? Anything else? I'm thinking pass a tray around, walk or usher somebody to their seat. And God put him in that place at that right time for me, and then put people around that would help me. Anything that God gives you a vision for, he gives provision. He puts things right in path, right in the way for you. I can't do this. All of a sudden, this person comes up and can help you do it. Oh, I'm not good at this PowerPoint. Oh, I can run PowerPoint for you. I can do. All of a sudden, things start to leave. Like, wait a minute, because it's not you, it's God. So who are you? We'll end pretty soon. Who are we in this parable? Are you the 5 talent? Are you the 2 talent? Are you the 1 talent? You don't have to answer out loud. I'm not even going to pick on you. So, Jeremy, what do you think? Are you one? I have to say. Think to yourself. When I saw this parable in this light and realized I was a lot closer to the 1 talent man, not because of my talent, but because of the attitude I had towards talent, or what I thought was mine. This is my life, my talents, my gifts. I decide how much of them I will use for God and his kingdom. And many of us might think like that. You might not even dare say it, but your actions could show it. Todd.
You can also connect with the soils.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how much can I produce if I have thorns in my, if I have a bunch of rocks in my soil, if I have a bunch of things keeping me from having a relationship, personal relationship with the Lord, having a prayer relationship with the Lord. Fruits am I going to be producing?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of things are you going to be giving God back during my life?
That's good. That's good, Todd. And you might think too, you know what? What if I can't produce? What if I don't have it? What if I'm not able to do what God expects of me? As Paul was saying, that we know the expectations. You can, trust me. And do you know how I know that? Look at this verse. And to the one he gave 5, to another 2, and to another 1, to each according to his own ability. Do you see that? And then he went on his journey. So he wasn't asking the man with the 1 talent to produce 5 more. Wasn't asking them. He wasn't asking the man that had 2 talents to produce 5. He said he gave each according to his ability. And so, just based on that, if the man that had 5 produced 5 more, if the man that had 2 talents produced 2 more, This man, according to his ability, according to that equation or pattern, should have been able to produce at least one more. At least. But he didn't. Jeremy.
I think the master is looking for effort. He didn't expect, like you were saying, I was gonna say, he didn't expect the one to produce a five. He had no expectation
Right.
of that. Otherwise, he would have been disappointed with the two.
Right.
That didn't return a five.
Right.
And he wasn't, he knew that. He just wants you to put effort in wherever
Right.
you are.
Right.
Whatever you're doing, just put some effort in.
Mm-hmm.
And God will provide you the way.
Mhm.
You're talking. It's just,
Right.
He provides access where you couldn't think possible
Mm-hmm.
if you just put in effort.
Right. Right. And he'll help you along. He sets it up for you to win.
Yeah, he doesn't want you to fail.
It's like the parent. Yeah. It's like the parent who the finish line is here and that baby's crawling there and oh come on and sees the baby can't make it and they pull that finish line closer. Oh, you did it! High five. God sets you up to win. So when you don't, it's not because he's not helping you. It's because you just choose not to. That's all.
God will always call us to step out in faith. And if you're afraid and you don't step out in faith, how you gonna know how many talents you do possess?
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's good. Yeah. You see, the other two servants, didn't produce double what they had because their master was a hard master. They did it because he was a good master. A master that they realized didn't have to give them anything. Out of their gratitude, they worked to the best of their ability, and then they got rewarded based on that. So the third servant does not do that, and so the master rightfully calls him wicked. The additional 5 talents that you got, or whatever he gives you, as Walter was saying, you just work to the best of your ability to get there. By him, therefore, let us offer the sacrifice of praise to God continually. I'll end with this verse. That is the fruit of our lips, giving him thanks to his name. We no longer sacrifice goats or lambs since Christ died, but we're not our own. And so we sacrifice praise and worship to him by using our gifts and talents for him and for his glory. Moses didn't have anything to offer, and God said, "What's in your hand?" No time. All right, 30 seconds, I'll end it. God says, "What's in your hand?" Moses didn't think he had anything. God always has something in your hand, in your possession, that you can use to his glory and to his benefit. And so we'll end with that. And so next week we'll look at the heart more often. And we looked at the heart of this man, but we'll look at the heart in general. Spend some time in Romans. All right. Vern, will you close us with a prayer?
Our Father in heaven, thank you that we could be together to hear this lesson, Father, and think about each one of our attitudes as to what we're thinking. Is it good or is it not, Father? And this lesson teaches us this. And I pray that we would continue to serve you in a way that comes from our heart, Father, and that our head is reasonable, wants to do good, Father, but sometimes we do not. So thank you, Father, for reminding us that we need to examine ourselves. Thank you for always being there and hearing us when we pray, Father, and answering in the best way, because you always answer in the best way and at the right time. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen.